well, you know, if you wanted to bring it way higher, then you would obviously limit it. So let's put a limiter on it. Where is it? And bring the gain up so it's actually compressing it a bit. That way, you're almost sure that it won't go beyond the dynamic range of your system and distort. Let's bring it up. Yeah, so now with the limiter on it, you can make it as high as you want, actually. See? It's actually maximum, but it's not really peaking. And depending on personal preference, you might want to bring this note actually higher. Let's say up to that D note. Oh, that's way too high, see, because now you can hear it. It's your choice. What I like to do is make sure that it starts on the actual fundamental, that it starts on the root note, which in this case is the D. But at such low frequencies, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to hear kind of a bad chord being formed there, because let's say you have the guitar in D and you put your bass drop starting in D sharp or something. So I like to put it on the actual fundamental. Yeah, that sounds pretty perfect right now. But keep in mind, this is all MIDI guitar and bass, so it sounds terrible. Once you have your actual guitar in there and your bass, hopefully a very, very down-tuned, evil-sounding guitar, then it'll sound really cool. But you have to make sure it doesn't completely swallow the mix. You make sure it's there, but it just fills out the lower region. Now the question is, why do you want to use a sine wave and not a square wave or something else? The answer is, all the other waves have extra harmonics. So if you put the sine wave in there, you make sure that you only have that very low frequency note, rather than reaching up into the higher spectrum where it'll mud up the whole song. So maybe choose a triangle wave, for example, and then filter it. But I like to use sine wave. Let's try a filtered. Yeah, I've never tried this before. Let's try a filtered triangle wave. That sounds really dubsteppy to me. It sounds very like electronic music-y. Let's put a filter on it and take away all of those higher harmonics. Let's just use an EQ. Yeah, so see, in the EQ you can see the very lowest notes and the extra harmonics. So let's just bring down everything else. Yeah, this is a very bad way to do it, so... Yeah, so now it's almost like a sine wave, but with some extra meat in it. Let's just fix this for a bit. Yeah, that's better. That actually sounds pretty cool. I like that. Gentle. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do. Yeah, I think that might actually give you some more meat. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So you might want to use a triangle wave instead of a sine wave, but make sure you filter it. Or if you want to really, if you were trying to get kind of a really hardcore electronics industrial sound to it, then you might actually want those harmonics in there. But some of those harmonics aren't always in the key of your song, depending on what kind of waveform you use. So you might actually want even harmonics rather than odd ones. But the triangle wave seems like a good choice, as long as you filter it properly. So yeah, and that should be a good way to do a bass drop. And you don't have to do it in FL Studio, you can do it in Cubase or Pro Tools if you want. But I find it's, well, I use FL Studio a lot for my stuff, so I think it's very easy. Another thing to keep in mind is some people will tell you to use, for example, an electronic bass drum sound, just pitch it way down, tune it way down. But the problem is when you tune down a sample, you get lots of aliasing problems. It's just not good, because that sample was recorded at a specific speed, and it's not meant for you to bring it down to almost below the audible spectrum range. So I think it's much better to actually use a synthesizer and make your own waves, because those are actually synthesized at that frequency, and there's no actual aliasing problems if you bring them way down, as long as you have a decent synthesizer. So yeah, that concludes the tutorial. I hope you have fun making evil bass drops. Cheers!